welcome to another Uncut. This week I'm talking to Emma Shuldham from Attachment. Welcome, Emma.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Please, like in your own words, why don't you introduce Attachment to me and also talk a bit about what your role is here.
Absolutely. So we're an entertainment and culture agency, and we look at entertainment and culture marketing through the lens and belief that people buy people. And what that really means is how, in this age of an oversaturated word of culture, entertainment and talent cohesively align to tell stories and to provide entertainment. And really what we do is look at the strategy behind that for our clients to figure out how they're going to show up within entertainment and culture through the lens of talent.
Okay, so you already alluded to something that I want to touch on later in the conversation, but let's do it now. So the oversaturated use of the word culture. Do you think brands are getting it right? Do they understand what culture means?
Some do. I think just the sheer fact that culture is a very variable word in all its forms. And I think when we talk about culture, it is more typically about pop culture, popular culture, and kind of the communities that come within that, within sport, entertainment, music, film, fashion, etc. And whether that therefore is what is the latest box office smash, what's top of the charts, what's the latest run club situation within the sports world, like that for us is where we play within that cultural space and ensure that clients are looking at tone and how they show up in the most authentic way possible.
Yeah. And you've been in this area long before you even got to Attachment.
Yes.
You've found similar roles. How did you get into this area? What
by
appealed?
accident. It was never the game plan. And a lot of people have very clear plans in life. I did not. Well, I did. I wanted to be an archaeologist, so that didn't
Very
work.
different.
But no, I started in a talent management company as a PA, and then went into agenting talent. So I sat on the other side of the table and saw what it took to help shape talent careers. And then decided to try it on the other side. So working for the brands to figure out how do talent show up in their space in a way that works. And it just kind of stuck. And I really enjoy it. And it's an industry that has grown around me. Like entertainment marketing is not new. Concept of branded entertainment is not new. Celebrity endorsement is not new. But I think how it's showing up in a very fragmented media landscape and how talent in itself has become so fragmented, how social media has kind of democratized the movie star. Talent now are all fighting for their place in a very busy ecosystem. So that is one shift. And then you've got the brands trying to figure out how they can show up across this spectrum. And I think it's I remember when I was doing kind of casting decks 15 years ago with celebrity talent, and then these other types of talent were coming into these decks. This is all so native and so manual and analog at the time, but it was kind of influencers and people who are influencing the conversation and influencing culture. And then it very quickly evolved into what we now know as kind of the creator landscape of today. And ultimately, it is all still as it was. It's just being done in different formats and with a much broader variety of talent, because so many more people can speak directly to communities, where before you were very much beholden to a movie studio or a record label or a print publication. And that was therefore those editors, those producers, those directors were controlling the narrative.
Clear gatekeepers.
Hollywood studios made movie stars. Now you can become famous on your own. And so that has really kind of shifted the game.
And how do you stay on top, not just personally, but as an agency on that shifting landscape?
I think it's down to the team. And I think really for us, the innovation in how we want to structure and be and evolve is what our success comes down to. We are fully independent, we are fully autonomous, and we know what's happening in the media landscape at the moment when that autonomy and the behemoths are kind of ensuring margins are being met and cuts are being made. And I think we are sitting on the outside, being able to be nimble, being able to be quick. We're not owned by anyone, we're not owned by a music label or a private equity firm, and therefore we can be in control of our own destiny. And that enables innovation at speed and scale. And also, let's test something, let's learn from something. If it doesn't work, let's move on. And we were in a really privileged position to be able to do that. And what we've done, I think, in order to be successful is build a team of amazing people. And this is not hundreds and hundreds of people. You don't need hundreds and hundreds of people.
What number are we talking about now?
We're 22, I think. And we've grown that in other markets as well. But it's really about kind of more having an elite squad rather than an army of worker bees. Because what we want to make sure is that our team have an understanding of the nuances of the cultural landscape, but also the nuances of different types of talent, so that when it comes to providing the right strategy for our clients, we actually truly can deliver it rather than be winging it. So backgrounds are celebrity brokers, influencer marketeers, labels, agents, creative strategists and strategy leads from advertising agencies. So we really understand how it all connects and works.
To understand the shifts of culture and where it's heading.
To really kind of position ourselves as like that entertainment solution for clients. And we're seeing the new CEO, so Chief Entertainment Officer, coming in at Gap and places. And I think those are the brands who are innovating in that space, in the brand world. And so what we're trying to do is innovate in the agency world to be that external solution for brands that don't yet have that in-house function. So really looking at us as an extension of team as a Chief Entertainment Officer.
And how, as a leader of like people, do you kind of instill and keep that like motivation and like view on innovation and what comes next going in your agency?
I think what's so nice about being small with kind of an elite team, as it were, is that everyone has opinions and everyone comes with ideas, and the innovations are coming every day from the team in terms of kind of AI tools that we want to be building, agents that we feel that are going to be needed, how it's going to help further our work in a world that is very much about relationships, human relationships. And that's our USP. It's that access, it's that conversation. It's like how to make that happen, how to talk to that person. And we are innovating every day with different ways of working. And it's fun.
Yeah.
Because we're doing things that we just didn't think were possible and working at speeds. I mean, when I first joined here, I was literally dizzy from the speed. And any new starter, you're like, you'll get used to the pace. Yeah. It's not necessarily, it's not about like late, long hours. Yeah. It's about the always on, the always go.
Yeah. So you alluded to like international growth. How there's only one, can't multiply yourself. So how do you make sure that like from afar you kind of continue to have that same culture as you're just talking to, like you're speaking to in the office, that you have that with your international teams as well, and that the people that you hire are, you know, a good cultural fit and understand what attachment stands for?
I think, you know, to have some really strong values and beliefs is very important. Service like no other is really important to us. And then another one that, you know, we often reference is don't be a dick. And it's very unconventional, maybe as a value, but it actually serves a really positive purpose. And ultimately, it's just about being a good human, doing what's right for your clients, doing what's right for your colleagues, doing what's right for your teammates, and instilling that as people are coming in. And I think the feedback that we get from clients and the references and the goodwill that is out there towards attachment is testament to how we service our clients and how we just try to make it easy, but also make it fun. You know, we only live one life and we don't all need to be caught up in a swirl of everything else. And, you know, that's what I love about the independence as well. It's not about the politic. It's just about how do we get it done in the best possible way, and enjoy the work and put out good work.
On good work, so we spoke already about kind of brands and understanding culture. Are brands generally creative enough? Or...
I think the brands that think differently and push differently are the ones that stand out. There's been a lot of conversation about, you know, how Gap have like really transformed their position in the marketplace with not new output, you know, design collabs, ambassadors, product drops, all these things. They're not new, but they're doing it with a fresh, culturally first lens. And I think that is what makes the difference. So it's the wrapper that you're putting around some of these kind of marketing systems, because they're not groundbreaking, but it's how you do it that really makes the difference. And I think also those that are prepared to take risks, do things that are funny, just lighten the load. You know, we're in challenging times, right? The world is a little upside down, and I think sometimes coming back to like entertainment, finding a reason to smile, finding purpose and just enjoyment can be very important. And I think brands that want to take a stand towards that type of narrative, I think will be very successful. And also when it comes to talent, taking a risk on talent, because we are all human, we are all fallible. People make mistakes. People have skeletons in closets. It's our job to ensure that our clients know what those might be. But I also think that those that can stick their necks out and be human to their consumers, if something goes wrong, just put your hands up, are the ones that succeed. And also, when you're in the business, you know, social media enables people to be able to jump in, be part of the conversation, to troll, to debate. And if you can really align to your purpose and vision for why you're doing something and hold your brand accountable, then you'll ride that out. But it is really hard, because the instinct of so many people is like, okay, let's pull it, let's get rid of it. Whereas if there's truth and purpose behind it, I think they will succeed.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for many marketeers, the kind of concept of like understanding your audience has always been the same, but now there are so many ways to directly speak and for an audience to directly speak to you about you as well. And that's the thing.
And if they like something and if they don't like something. And it's an interesting evolution that I think goes hand in hand with what we see in terms of working with talent, is that not one talent represents anyone anymore. And that's absolutely what the democratization of talent through creators has done. There is still these people that have risen above the maybe kind of more ubiquitous talent landscape because of their skill, because of their craft. And that could be an actor, that could be a singer, but that could be a creator, you know, that have truly stood out. And that is like the way celebrity still has a place, but it just needs to be, it takes a lot more to earn that now.
Do you tell me who you think is a very underused, undervalued piece of talent that you would love to work with, or brand even? Like, is there somebody out there you think, oh gosh, this needs to work, this needs to come together?
I think what some brands that are doing, like a CeraVe, for instance, I would love to do work with them and have been part of some of the work that they've done. I think they've done a phenomenal job. I think there are brands who we can help bring them up to some of those levels.
How let's say like a brand or like an organization comes to you and asks you for something quite specific. So we feel that we're culture aligned to X artist or player or whatever. And you just think that is a really bad idea. How would you deal with that?
I think there's the separation from a personal belief to a community culture-led belief. And I think the beauty of art in all its forms is its subjectivity. Now, I think you just need to be looking at all your different data points, and I don't necessarily mean the maths, but the location, the communities that are in that location, the talent, what they have said, their beliefs, what they have done, the people that are coming to something, or the consumer. And I think you've just got to actually just map all the different environments. And if that overlay makes sense, then that's a brand decision. And our job is to help provide that so that they can make the decision. And your personal counsel can absolutely come into it. But I think it's more just have we considered all the variables within it, so that if there is something that comes up, we're prepared and justified as to why.
Like obviously, the audience that the brands are trying to reach are wildly varied. Obviously, Gen Z, which everybody seems to still want to try and reach, which is no longer the youngest audience, but somehow it's still mystical. But as as humans, you and I have grown, developed, and moved on in life, and have different realities. So how difficult is it for you to kind of keep up with the segments that are happening, and like how do you advise even your team to look at kind of brand intelligence in the right kind of lens?
I mean, I think that's the beauty of, I don't tell the team anything, they tell me. Like, I think that's the beauty of the team is we have people that can speak to all different types of communities. If you want your electronic music expert, we've probably got that. If you want your run club expert, because it's also passion points as well. And we absolutely are made smarter by what the breadth of the team tell us as a collective. So and that's the responsibility of all of us at Attachment, is to continually keep each other informed. And we have some great working sessions where we're looking at kind of trends and themes and virality and what is happening at the moment, kind of almost week by week. We have things that go around, and also like what works for us. Like, what are we seeing? We started last year a weekly newsletter, which sounds so archaic in just like its basic form, but it is absolutely. And we thought, we'll just test it. We'll see if people resonate. The feedback we've had from it has been phenomenal, and it's now evolved into like a film series. And that was just like a little micro test, right? We're just like, let's see if it works, and let's not overthink it. Let's pick 5 things that we love every week. Different team can write about it, different team can have an opinion, and it will go out to people that want to know about it. And it has absolutely blown us away, the response. But it's not all our work. It's us like observing the trends, celebrating other people's work.
Yes, it's showing your expertise.
It's about lifting everyone up, and it's been really great. And that it's also written by different members of our team. It's not one person and what they think it is. So because one person, whether that's internally or externally, does not represent culture.
So we're also living in a time when like technology has changed and is changing still a lot, almost day to day. So I mean, like from the outset, the area like you operate in seems pretty kind of resistant, maybe like in a good way, kind of shielded from, let's say, the likes of AI. Do you think that A, is that even true? And B, is that going to continue to be true?
I hope so. We are in a relationship business at the end of the day, and we are in a people buying into people business. So I think to an extent, yes, but what is a real opportunity and is very exciting is how the tools can help us with kind of cultural mapping and like cultural intuition, what's happening when, whether help our clients get the best opportunities, and whether that's being able to see who's performing where, what films are coming out, what's happening. We have created various tools that aggregate that at speed. So, you used to phone around and get all the tour dates from everyone and all this so that you'd know what was going on. And we've really kind of changed the game on that internally. So that has, and that's not just about information sharing about what's coming up. That's also, that actually helps aid the speed and the commercial value of the deals that we do. Because if you know someone is already in a location doing something else and we can then use them, it helps the deals and it helps the process and can save on a lot of costs. So it's not just about the cultural relevance. And also, like, data won't tell you who the next lead in White Lotus is going to be, or the new Superman, or whatever
the
it
context
is.
As well,
the context is really important, and that's still a people business.
So, like, I mean, is there other, like, let me rephrase that. What changes do you expect to see in the next, I mean, things like moving fast, so let's keep it to 2 to 3 years. How do you see the industry shifting?
I see the need for people to be the advocates and the humanity behind the AI brands that are coming out. We're beginning to see that with kind of celebrity-led campaigns for AI brands. I think that is because the trust factor is going to be a real pivotal thing. So I think we'll see that as something that people will double down on, which hopefully will be good for us because that's a big part of the advisory work that we do. I also think that as AI evolves, the need for human connection will only grow more. So from an experiential point of view, conversations, talks, performances, art forms, like coming together in physical groups, will continue to grow. It's taken time since COVID, but it's really now beginning to snowball. And it doesn't mean mass scale events and like huge numbers of people, but it is about creating experiential moments. So again, and that's not new, but I think it will evolve even more.
Yeah, we're noticing that ourselves with our events. Like, people kind of crave, and actually, like, more like community feels more so than like 300 people in a conference kind of thing, or a big mass. And I probably see that artists as well, like smaller, not everyone, but smaller entities, smaller groups of people, fans are like considered to be brought in more with the ecosystem they operate in. That's quite nice. So how does all of that affect how you operate as a managing director, how you kind of look at the strategy of the business and how you put together your team and you scale up?
I think it's not necessarily scaling up by quantity, because I think quality over quantity is, there's a lot to be said for it. And I think that as I said earlier, like trying to be that kind of entertainment solution, we're not trying to be an advertising agency, we're not trying to be a sponsorship agency, partnerships. It's really about being an entertainment solution, because entertainment cuts through advertising. And entertainment, everything is skippable, and we're trying to create things that people will watch and immerse themselves in. And whether that's a live event, whether that's a piece of branded content, whether that is actually watching the ad because it's just naturally funny or fun or resonates, we are always trying to work with our clients to make sure they become unskippable through the lens of entertainment. And so we just need to keep doubling down on delivering work that does that, and making sure that our team have the skills and the expertise to deliver that.
How important for you as an individual in your working life is, and especially like a leader, is the element of fun.
Oh, I mean, so important. Like and I think that was what I loved about coming to Attachments. Ben and Chris, who founded it, just never really wanted to take it too seriously, and just really trying to keep that sense of like fun as part of the business. Whilst, I mean, part of the reason they got me in was that, maybe grow it up a little bit, but, and, we all have growing pains, but ultimately it is meant to be fun. And I think the work that we do, the way that when we watch it internally together, when something's finished and we celebrate it, or someone's just gone and had a brilliant meeting, or like we really are, or like Shelby, one of our teams, just ran the marathon, like the buzz on our WhatsApp group over the weekend, like, it's that sense of support for each other.
It's a real team.
It's a real team. And that's also what keeps us on a global level, because everyone's in that group, everyone's seeing that conversation. You could be running a Boston Marathon or a London Marathon, you're still running in a marathon.
Yeah.
And I think that's been like one of the joys of being able to be at something that was quite small when I came in. It was 9 people. And seeing how it evolves, but keeping that sense of community.
Yeah. Culture within is really important.
1000%.
Yeah. You also, to get this right, you're the chair of the events committee of WACL.
I was.
You was. Okay.
I was. So when Nishma was president, I was I ran her events for the year, which, really a lot of that was about curating conversation for the members to be able to listen and learn from. So we had some amazing people speak. We had Ashley Walters, we had Grace Dent, we had Charitha Chandra. Really, it was about providing thought-provoking conversation that helped leaders and marketeers understand how to run both like their brands if they were on the brand side from a consumer point of view, but also how to run teams if you're running an agency, and just kind of the different ways of bringing things, Ashley Walters, if you're on set, if you're on Adolescence, and like the way that that was shot, that is such teamwork to enable that to have got produced. Or, how Charitha Chandra, coming out of Bridgerton, how she felt kind of into this newfound like fame world.
Yeah, very quick. Yeah.
Yeah, and and also the power of honesty. Someone like Grace Dent as a food critic, she's now going to be on MasterChef. Not MasterChef. Grace Dent, who's going to be on Celebrity Bake Off. But no, on Great British Bake Off. Grace Dent is going to be on Great British Bake Off.
She'll be on TV.
She'll be on TV. But the power of being direct and being honest, I think you can learn a lot from that as well.
Yeah. So like what? I mean, taking that on is quite a big commitment, even if it's for a year. So
got to do some great tastings though. I got to taste all the different dinners.
Right.
Yeah, down in the kitchens at the Dorchester. There was a hard job to do.
Somebody had to do it.
Someone had to do it.
So why do you think like an organization such as WACL is still so important now? I mean, like yourself, you've got, you worked, I'm sure you've got a great job that you seem to really like now as managing director. Do you feel, what do you think like are the struggles of women that we still have in leadership roles, or how we feel?
I think advocacy for women in leadership continues to be a really important message that we need to drive forward, and how to have the tools to advocate for yourself, but also to advocate for others within your own business, but also helping the next gen of leaders. And I think WACL does a really good job of that, but also helping women who, and this isn't necessarily about women, this is just about how people in leadership are having to adapt to such a fast changing world, and being able to use a community to like understand that and help and shape that, as well as really giving the tools to how to advocate to ensure kind of that 50-50 standard across the board in the C-suite.
What would you say to kind of a younger version of yourself, like knowing like what you've learned these years and thinking about the things you've just mentioned, like what were your insecurities that you now say, oh, you should have dealt with that differently? Or
I still have them. They don't go.
Absolutely, I know.
My need to be liked is absolutely crippling and does me no favors. And my leadership coach right now would be going, yeah, don't mention that. But I think that, no, I think the word family, I would tell my younger self, like, if there's not a family, the emotional connection I've had to things in the past has made it really hard to sometimes uncouple.
And when you say the emotional connection, is that more to do with like failure, or like literally like the work, you are the work, you become your job?
I think, but feeling very invested in the work is healthy and it's fine. I think caring too much about what people thought or worrying too much about how people were doing, and rather than trusting in people to speak up if they needed to support, and more importantly then creating environments that people could speak up in. I think so. I would always now try to ensure that the environments are right, and also be able to take the feedback if someone's like, you're not getting it right, and be open to that feedback. Because I think I don't think leaders get told enough how they can do better, and I think that's really important, to be open to getting that feedback.
How do you set that environment for people to come to you and say like, this is, I would prefer that this was done differently, or that you like allowed me to speak about? Could be anything.
You're just asking. Do you have any feedback you want to share, or how was that for you? I think it's can take surprisingly little, and I don't always do it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not the poster child for it, but it's something that I continue to challenge myself on and continue to be better on. And when I check in with my leadership coach, Joe Howes, who's amazing, but that is to be kept in check about how you show up is so important, because we are only human at the end of the day. And when you're frustrated with how something's going, to be able to have it played back to you in a different way, and like how maybe your actions have impacted something, to think, okay, this is how I can now take control of changing a narrative. You just got to be willing to keep listening, keep learning.
Do you feel like you're better equipped now to take that criticism and turn it into a positive without it getting to you?
90% of the time. Yeah. If it was 100%, that would be
You'd
fun.
stop caring for it.
You just gotta keep going. So yeah.
It's always room for improvement.
Exactly.
Yeah, indeed.
No one is perfect.
And then coming back to attachment, if the young people are looking at this and thinking, oh, that sounds amazing, I would love to get into that field, what would be your advice?
It's a relationship business. Build relationships at every level, and that doesn't mean it has to be at a senior level. Peer-to-peer is really important. Not being afraid to pick up her phone. I think people can lean too much into emails and messaging, and I do think in real life, phone calls, doing a tricky deal with an agent, if you're just being human and talking about your childcare challenges, you actually suddenly bond on a different level, and the empathy goes a long way, and things begin to shift, and you begin to make, it's just that human connection is really important.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this before, but I've always been somebody who's very comfortable behind the screen, and like with the Subthread as a venture to obviously be out, like sitting here talking to you now, but also just the meetings, meeting people in person, the kind of new connections that you build. I mean, I've always like stimulated my team to do it, but I've always been very handily not pushing myself. And yeah, I think it's invaluable to kind of that face-to-face time. You never know where the conversation takes you when you need them. Okay, well, I think that's all my questions answered for today. Thank you so much, Emma.
Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure.
I hope that was all right.